Hey, community. Happy almost New Year or New Year, whatever it is when you watch this. And happy early birthday or birthday, Jerrell. So here's what's brewing today.
Best of 2025 guests.
And there was a lot. So get your cups ready for Minoritea Report.
Hey, welcome to Minoritea Report. It is Auntea Kerel.
It's Auntie Dawon.
And it's Auntie Jerrell.
Hey, ladies, with your lumbersexual playing alone.
Hey, I'm trying a little some since, birthday right around the corner. I'm trying to feel like a man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, masculinity, bro. Here it is still in December, and he's like, my birthday. It's like, oh, okay, Capricorn season, here we go again.
I mean, by the time this come out, my birthday would be out literally in 10 days. So, I mean, I'm well within the window to talk about a birthday.
You're right.
I met my downstairs neighbors for a formal get together. I invited them up, and we were kind of just going around the table, just talking about a little bit of ourselves. And I said, that I'm a Leo, and another one was like, oh, I didn't know you're a Leo. I'm a Leo too, and da-da-da. So that was really cool. But then speaking of Capricorn, one of my neighbors is a Capricorn. He said,
I like him already.
And I was like, oh, so you like to fight. And then her boyfriend just looked at her and left. I said, y'all Capricorns love a fight. Y'all be instigating just to get into a fight because you love that shit. She said, I don't know about all that. I said, okay.
Hey, we need to know who weak and who ain't. So,
yeah, I guess
because we only fuck with the best, clearly. So,
that part.
Oh man. So, community, you've heard the last couple of weeks that we're on our holiday break, but of course we always give you a little new content while we're out, and we had another year of incredible guests, and honestly, it was a year of maybe like slight changes because like we were kind of maybe in and out a little more than normal in a year, and so a lot of just amazing guest aunties as well that kind of help us keep the ball rolling, and I think we just need to call them out, say their names. We're going to say their names because we're super appreciative of people taking time out of their calendars, especially because like we record a little later in the evening. I'm not sure when a lot of podcasts record, and a lot of podcasts are like in person. And so for us to kind of just coordinate all three of our crazy schedules and different time zones, it also impacts potentially like the guests and the guest aunties that we have on the podcast. So for them to coordinate their calendar, especially if you're on the East Coast, we'd be recording into the night. Nighttime is the right time. And so we appreciate them. So that's why we specifically really just want to call them out, because we don't take it lightly for them to come spread their joy and their news and their energy with us and for the community. So we'll start with the guest aunties. The proper name is Zaylor, but we call him Z. What up, Z? We had him earlier in the year come in, and we call him our official correspondent of just like all things political.
Legal correspondent.
Legal. Like we didn't use him as much this year because we just couldn't do it. We're like, all this politics shit.
We're protecting our peace. We're protecting our peace as well as everybody else.
He'll be back next year because
he'll be back in 2026.
It's a big voting year.
A huge year.
It's a big voting year. So if you didn't see
that impacts the rest of our lives,
you will definitely be seeing him at least twice next year in 2026.
That part. Then we have other Jerrell, but Miss Tequila. Hey boo, she's always on here. We had Chris from Bad Queers. What's up, boo?
Chris.
Hey, love Chris. Marco, love Marco. Hey boo, from Pod Relationship, and then just like our personal friend as well. Everybody's actually our personal friend, low key. Like you're like, boop, boop. Hey, swing by. Thank you. We had Ze and Chino on this year. Hey, that was a good one. That was a good episode.
Yes.
We had Steven Abel from Pod Relationship as well.
That's right, filled in too.
We had Eric from Hung Up Pod. What's up, Eric? What's up, boo? We had Blossom.
Blossom
Brown.
Absolutely, Blossom came back. Yeah.
I adore Blossom.
Blossom.
Shayna.
Come on, cousin.
Well.
What up, cousin?
I know Chris and Shane are like the cousins or sisters or everything. Like I mean,
literally our family. Literally our family. Like,
and then we have Brian Sims on here as like a guest auntie as well.
And
so
Mr.
what's up,
Finance Brian? What up, boo?
Yeah, what's up, boo?
This is a good round.
And he's another one that we're going to probably have to get on again in 2026 because, like you said, it's a huge political year. Yeah. So to kind of have that insight of how to maneuver this craziness is key to kind of have these relationships and kind of keep those going into the spill the tea. And then just for the guests, we had Natives, the series. We had Ronald and Darnell on. We had Fantasia Lamour. We had Ezekiel De La Rosa. That was a fun episode. We have Miss Mayhem Miller.
Miss Mayhem.
We had Elvion Arnell Davenport. That was one of my favorite episodes.
That was amazing. Too. That's a legend right there.
You're right. We had the DaShawn Usher. Because he'd be continuing to elevate the Black queer experience. You got to go through DaShawn Usher.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do anything in this proper industry, and so we adore him. Wish You Were Queer. We had Tim Murray and Michael Henry. That was a fun episode.
That was a fun week.
Yeah, because y'all were out in Seattle too. Yeah, we were tired. That was woof. And Kerel, you were working at the same time. So both of us were working and doing that.
That was a long week. But it was fun. It was definitely fun.
Yeah.
We had Terry Dyer
we were in New York too. We were in New York together and then came out. Damn, it's all coming back to me. Damn.
Yeah. Like that, I feel like that for like around that time frame, like from May to like through like Pride Month, like was a craziness. And like I swear I saw both Tim and Michael like 10 times.
Yeah. Well, we saw them in DC because remember after that we were in DC for DC Pride and they were doing a comedy show. So we went
and then I saw them in New York because they had the Wish You Were Queer premiere there. So and then I feel like I saw him maybe like one time after that. Or no, I was supposed to see him in Philly and then ended up not seeing him. That's what it was. So anyway. So shout out to them. Hey, Terry Dyer. What's up, boo? I'm glad to run into him at Market Days as well. So that was dope to see him in person. Yeah. We had Miles David. That was the tennis guru.
Oh, baby. That was such a good episode.
That was a really fun episode.
I learned a lot.
With some people in the comments.
Baby. Because that one person was really trying it. Like, girl, go about your business. You came over here. You came your ass over here.
That. We had Torian Everett. Hey, boo.
Yes.
I ran into Torian when I was in New York going so when the Brazilian guys were in town, like we did brunch and originally I thought my train was at 5:30 and then I looked and it got there and I had rebooked another train from Philly to New York and not New York to Philly. So anyway, so I had to cancel that and then like had to like wait for the 7:50 train. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do for fucking 2.5 hours now? Yeah. So I like went to Flex to grab a drink. And then I was like, all right, I got time to walk from Flex back down to Penn Station. And literally walking from Flex to Penn Station, you walk through like Broadway area.
Yeah.
And so walking down the street and like I see him walking towards me and he's like with two of his friends. And it's like one of those moments I was like, how do I know this person? Then I'm like, Torian. and he looks at me, he's like, oh my God. And so like it was big on it's like chatted for like 5-10 minutes there on the street, like him and his friends or whatever. So that was crazy. Like out of the millions of people in fucking New York City, to still run into someone that you know is wild. And then someone that we literally at that time had just interviewed like a couple weeks prior. So that was super cool. So yeah, shout out to Torian. Yeah. And fine to sell in person as well. I was like, that's a good looking human being.
I bet. And he's a real one. He's a real one. Yeah. Like definitely a
super sweet person.
Super sweet. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Peppermint, I mean, God, the Peppermint.
Come on now.
Let me tell you, that interview made me actually nervous because again, like
it's the Peppermint.
Well, and again, you know, I started my drag race, you know, journey a little bit later. Yeah. So my intro to Peppermint was like in some of her TV show gigs that she's booked post Drag Race, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, like getting to see Peppermint, I'm like, wow, there's this beautiful, trans woman who is just like out here acting and booking these gigs and stuff like that. Little did I know, had a whole other career before then.
Yeah. And it was a struggle too, which we learned in that documentary. Like, life before.
That documentary.
It's A Deeper Love. Peppermint, A Deeper Love.
Yeah. There's just like to me, there's just like levels to drag, and she's the elite level. Like, there's just people that have come from that show, even just like outside just the drag of it all. That there's just this people that like I'm like, oh wow, like slightly starstruck. She's one that like I was like,
well, when I started doing my homework and started seeing like, oh, I know these I've seen these iconic clips before. I just didn't know so many of them were her, and I was like, wow,
yeah.
And then we also had just recently, like a couple of weeks ago, Mario Harper. So both of them, Peppermint and Mario, just a few weeks ago. But end of the year quite strong there. So shout out to you, Mario, taking the time to hop on here, and shout out to everyone, literally everyone that like takes time out of their lives. We know time is finite. So to spend a little bit with us is incredible. And then even community, to spend your time week in, week out for years upon years at this point, spending a little of your time with us, we don't take it lightly. We really don't. So we appreciate it. And hopefully you enjoyed some of these guests and guest aunties this year. And obviously we're planning for more in 2026. And we ask this every year. Anyone that you want for 2026?
I'm still Keke Palmer is still up there. Keke Palmer is still number one. I just know Keke and I are gonna be best friends. We're just gonna be best friends. We already best friends.
It's like the gag is we already are.
Yeah, she don't know, but we already best friends. So, yep. And I like kids. So hey, nephew Leo, what's up? What's up, nephew?
Yes. I know that's right. Who for you, Dawon?
There's a lot of folks that I would love to get on the podcast. I would love to get some more television actors, the people that are actually out there, doing the work and representing, our various communities and on stage and on the screen. I would love to get some folks that are in that are in like robotics and AI, because we don't talk a lot about technology. I mean, we do, because I bring it up because I'm interested in that kind of shit, but also like it's such an important part of, of what's going to be like our lives going forward. And already we're seeing a lot of changes happening. So I would love to get some really interesting voices from, the astrophysicist community, the robotics community, the AI community. That's people of color that are in there and, can talk about their experiences and, and ensuring that to the degree that they're able, that bias isn't creeping into some of the, the approaches with some of those things. But yeah, I think that's where I would love to bring into the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, make sure it's on the day where I'm not here, because that's what I do. I don't keep my job, so they don't have to be a guest auntie and fill in for my black ass. Because I'm over here like we could talk about it. No, I can't talk about it. You're right. So
mine, like two of mine, like at least I got to meet in person this year. Lena and Sean Bankhead. Like that was dope to meet them at the Native Son Awards. Like, yeah, that just made my year right there. I was like, oh gosh, and being able just to tell them how much like their representation matters, and how much I see them, and obviously on behalf of the podcast, we see them. That was a dope moment. So definitely those two. I mean, anyone, quite frankly, like I think what at least hopefully the community feels is like it doesn't have to be like the superstars of the world. Like it could be folks that like are in our communities that are like interested in AI. It could be this and that, just topics that we're just like interested in. So it doesn't have to necessarily be some big ass name, but it's just the curiosity factor of it. It's just like learning and having those conversations with folks is, I think, is something that we'll always continue to do and be interested in. But if it is the big names, I think those are the two top for me still, is like getting Lena and Sean on here would be super dope. And Emil, 3. So I think that was probably my list for
Emil for sure. Yeah.
I want a meal on here. And I feel like for him, I want us to do that in person. Like there's a couple more that like because I enjoyed when we did Tim. We did Tim and Michael in person. We had Tim and Michael in person, and I like that energy of just having the guests in person like that. It's super fun. So hopefully we get to do a few more of those in 2026 as well. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we just add
Community,
people to the list,
if you have to hook up, let us know.
Look, well, if we add people to the list, also put Jeremy Pope fine ass up on there too. So,
baby,
yeah.
I hope that's in person.
Yeah,
I don't know though. He's so fine in person. Like when we saw him at Native Souls in 2024, he was just so pretty, so good looking. Oh my god, Ooh, I'm hot thinking about it. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, so obviously best of guest episodes, and so let's see. Is it me first? For me, I chose DaShawn Usher. Like I thought that episode was just super fun. And especially at that point, like we're just like asking questions, just like because like he's so ingrained in just activism and visibility and like GLAAD and just a lot of boards and things like that. And to have a Black queer person, a Black queer man in these positions to be able to speak to what's going to impact our communities is so crucial and critical. And just to see him continue to grow in that career is awesome. But like, politics was obviously front of mind for us at the time. He's just like, you know what? Sometimes you got to rest and pick it up in a couple years. And it was refreshing to kind of hear someone of his stature say that, because like, obviously we say that, but we're like, okay, do we feel guilty maybe a little bit that we're maybe not speaking up as much? So it almost kind of, for me, felt like permission to be like, let me just rest for a second. Let me ease my brain for a second. Obviously we got to pick it up in 2026 because it's a critical year, but to have most of 2025 where that wasn't just like our only concentration, and that's a privilege to be able to do that. We understand that, overstand that, to be in a position that we can be like, I don't want to talk about it right now. Not everybody has that position and that privilege, so we definitely are hyper aware of that. So to be able to do that though gave us a chance to just kind of refresh ourselves a little bit, because the gear up for next year, it's going to be heavy. It's going to be a heavy load. Yeah. So just to hear someone of stature in our community like that say that was critical. So that's my pick, DaShawn Usher. And here's a glimpse of that conversation. And even in just advocacy and activism and things like that, we know, like, yes, you got to pour into yourself. But what advice do you give folks that be like, we've been done told you what was going to happen, especially with this administration, that they trying to take everything that we tried to build and everything. It's like, we've been done told you. So we sitting our asses down. We having us a key over here. But we also know that we still got to fight a little bit, because it's just the nature of the beast. What advice do you give people that is like, I'm tired of telling people. I want to sit down forever. But we know we can't. What's our strategy then?
Bitch, pick it up in year 3. Rest. I was like, this, like, he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. I was like, and so we got 3.5 more years of this, and so it's like, I'm telling folks, protect your peace, protect your peace, protect your peace at all costs. And like, yes, like there will be some of us, and some of us are charged up to do it. I'm not. I was like, because like like they're playing by so many different rules, right? And so it's like people are being flagged for terrorism and all this other shit. And so it's like, when you were speaking out, and I was like, it's Russia 2.0. And so I'm like, you just may want to be careful. And so it ain't like, we ain't all that privileged, I can tell you that. I was like, and so it does become one of those things of like, you got to pick and choose your battles. I would say whenever it's something like, for me personally, if it's anything dealing with like trans folks, I'm there, because like those people shouldn't have to put their bodies or their lives and stuff like online. But if it's for anybody else and you ain't trans, count me out. Count me out, because I've been there, we've done it. I've been there, we've done it. I've been there, we've done it. And so it is just one of those things where it's like, it's time for other people to really see the value of what it looks like when, like, particularly the folks that have been the most active, like, rest. Like, and I'm glad Kamala is somewhere, unbothered.
She got her braids in.
Honey,
Yeah, she's at CAA booking her speaking tours. I was like, yeah. So it's like, I was like, but as she should. But it's like in every other like Black woman, like cis and trans, that deserve to like take their time and protect their peace because they've been doing the work. We've been doing the work, and it's just like at some point you just got to be like, you know what, baby, like y'all think it's a trans issue, but you really realize that like it's your first experiment to see like what people don't say or how people don't show up, and then there'll be another group, and then another group, and another group, and it's like we ain't the exception to the rules. And so I'm like, y'all, you really just gotta protect your peace because it's the marathon, not the sprint. And so yeah, we
mile one.
It really is.
A mile one, ho.
Right. The first 100 days almost took us out, okay?
Look, it's only been 4 months.
That was just like last month. So, yeah.
It really is the privilege adjacency, though, for me. Like, even within our own Black and queer umbrella term community, it is the privilege adjacency. And it's, you know, these folks that sit in their, you know, and that sit within their privilege of being closer to whatever power structure that is afforded to that particular group. So whether it's, you know, cisgendered straight Black men, if it's, you know, cisgender straight Black women, if it is, you know, gay Black men, if there's a whole totem pole of activity. And it's so interesting to see, you know, like how much infighting there is. I mean, it's not uncommon. We've had colorism, we've got classism within our communities, we've got, you know, so many different things. And it's interesting seeing the dynamic today of how prevalent that is showing up when the most marginalized, arguably, of our communities and the most vulnerable of our communities, trans individuals, are just scapegoated like nobody's business, and people will jump on that bandwagon. And what's sad is that, you know, we still continue to see, you know, religion playing a big part of that, and other reasons to justify the, you know, the disparity that exists in our community. And it's just unfortunate. And I'm hoping that people will start to get fed up, you know, with this and move to action specifically for our queer, trans people of color.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I'm not sure if y'all had seen or someone had said something, but it was like they essentially are using like how we talk to each other like as the playbook. And so it's like if when they say don't check the comments, but like if you look at these comments in the Shade Room and some of these other like LGBTQ, and like whenever they talk about a trans issue or they talk about like something or they talk about, and it's like the way that we also like as a community like talk about each other, or like, and so it's like it's kind of easy for everybody else to say it when they're looking at the comments section and being like, this seems like the popular opinion. And so it also has to be like a narrative shift too, like when it comes to how are we holding these like outlets accountable, and sort of kind of how are we, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't think that they would keep posting like and clickbaiting that sensationalization of like these particular issues, because we know for a fact that like trans people ain't a problem. It like no one gives a fuck about like your gender identity or who you sleep with. At the end of the day, it's always about like who, like you said, who's the most marginalized person that you could beat up, that you could feel that like, you know, you could do or have a better like up on, like, and it's just like, we live in a world where of abundance and I promise you that like we're not at a scarcity of anything other than eggs and gas and hell, probably cereal,
money,
and money, right? Like, my pocketbook, please, okay. we are lacking abundance in certain areas. I can tell you, it ain't in the areas that folks need.
No, it is not.
And on the flip side of that, what's bringing you joy? We talked a little bit about, you know, like what's filling your cup. We talked a little bit about some of your, you know, your accomplishments. Like in the midst of all of the chaos that we see around us, what right now in this moment is bringing you joy?
Yeah, I would say it's a little it's a little wild, but it's like it is the work, because it's like it's being able to figure out ways to like still show up and create and do in a world that is telling you that like they don't want you to be like black and brown anymore. They don't want diversity anymore. They don't want blah blah blah. And it's just like, all right, well that's fine. But you know what they want? Growth segments. And you know what we are and always been? Black and brown people, we're growth segments. And so it's like, y'all, you want to switch up the language? We can. I was like, but we've always been valuable to these companies, and we're always going to be valuable to those companies. And so it's just trying to remind, particularly our community, like to like stand in joy. Joy is a resistance just as much. Like they want you to be tired. They want you to be like defeated. They want you not to show up, like literally, because I'm telling you, we gonna reach a point like probably next year, halfway through. I'm telling you, like there's no way that everybody has just been this silent, this quiet for no reason. But I do think that it's again, it's the pace that people are choosing, like that joy right now, to like refuel them. And so for me, it's that same joy of like, how do we create spaces for other creatives? How are we doing things that like bring community together so that people know that they're not alone and that they can see each other tangibly, like see each other and be in the same room with each other and affirm each other. So that brings me joy of knowing that like there's, regardless of what's happening, that like we're still working towards creating those spaces that we could be ourselves and celebrate.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that like at some point there's gonna be like another breaking point, another moment. All I can think about was the chair brawl that happened a few years ago. I'm like, I actually kind of want another one. I'm waiting. Where are we meeting up? Actually, I want to pull up and be in the video. Like
well, it was the plantation this last week. It was the plantation, baby.
But I mean that chair brawl was a whole other thing. We were
that was a whole other level. Yes,
no
1,000.
They don't want this.
You right on that.
They don't want
that brought me joy, and it still do.
Okay.
I'm curious, like you're a senior director at GLAAD, and I've always like wondered this perspective, because it's like even within like queer culture, there's like these agencies and companies and things like that were like, okay, we need to have our diversity in that as well, and things like that. Once you've gotten in that, has it been, and I'm trying to watch how I frame it because we need you in that job. So if you say I pass, say Kerel, shut up, I pass. But I'm just curious, once you've gotten into this space, has it been easier, harder to give that diversity lens even within a queer company aspect? And what can we do as like folks that maybe don't work in those companies, but hold these companies to such a standard saying, no, we demand that there's diversity, and sometimes there's not quite that. Has it been easy to infiltrate these companies, or no?
Yeah, I would say it was a mixed bag at first, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think that part of it was I applied for the position because it said communities of color, even though every other line said like black. And so when I got there, I reminded them that like, you realize this is black, right? That we'll be operating from the black diaspora that will benefit everybody else. And it has. And so right. And so I was like, it's okay, you can say black. You ain't gotta be afraid to say black. But I know when I say communities of color, that's how I start off. So I've been grateful, honestly, because like my associate director, Julian Ray Walker, like has came and like into a lot of like our heritage months that you see like on GLAAD, and like a lot of hangouts, and like, so we have like API and Native and like other like Jewish American and Arab American. And so like it's those intersections of like y'all want to play with communities of color, we're going to show you all these colorful communities, right? And so that like outside of just blackness too, that exists and that deserves the spotlight and that has this intersection. And so I've been grateful for like an organization that does allow us to create that space, that does allow us to literally like convene and like what we want to call it, is what we want to call it when we want to call it that.
Yeah.
So, but it's also a reminder that like we don't always, again, like have those like privileges and autonomy, like sometimes within those organizations. So I'm just grateful, honestly, for the leadership that I've had that like trusted me to like build and sort of kind of just like grow like the programs that we've been doing, and you know, and to keep it Black at the forefront of it, because again, everyone else will benefit from it if we're doing it for some of the most marginalized people, because everyone else will feel welcome. Everyone else will see that like they too belong and that they too can create and that they too can have their own communities. And so, yeah, I've enjoyed being able to do that.
I love that, because why not me? You know, like that level of representation. Like if someone else can do it, and that's one thing I feel like some people forget. You know, that like there's power in representation, but there's also just power in seeing someone live in their truth and be their most authentic selves. That can just be inspiring for you to do the same thing, right? And I just love that you let that lead with, hey, Black is all I know because that's all I am, you know, and hopefully that allows you to unlock whoever you are and whatever brings you joy and it makes you who you are.
Yeah, no, truly. And I think, and that's the thing, is that it's like, we all know that like a lot of American culture is Black culture. A lot of this, like,
it is.
Right. And so like it didn't take Beyonce to just, you know, be the one to remind us. This is a reminder. But it is
right. This is a reminder. Don't get me started. You about to get me started.
Too soon. Don't worry. Like, back to the Renaissance era. But it is just one of those things of where it is like that beauty of just knowing like how much we contribute. And so for me, it's like, I don't find what I'm doing at GLAAD to be no different than how we contribute to overall American culture. So
yeah. He's a gem.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I really appreciate, and you kind of talked about this earlier when you were kind of going through the list of all the guests and everyone that's been like an auntie or a co-host, etc. One thing I really appreciate about him is that you know when someone is walking their purpose and they're doing what they're meant to do, and he is someone who is doing that, and he just does it so effortlessly, but he's also very aware of the ripple effect of what he does and just how much he can influence. I believe earlier this year, was it announced that he would like got involved or promoted to something else? Just like GLAAD. Back in October. GLAAD. Yeah. You know, so I mean, like, it's just great to see just another Black man out here doing the work for the people and making sure that there is a seat and room for everyone at the table. I just really just appreciate that. So yeah. Shout out to you, Boo. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm trying to look up the title here. Oh yeah, here we go. He is the vice president now of community and media. So again, the representation is so paramount. It's so critical. And that was even part of the conversation in that totality of that episode. Yeah. Of him hinting on that, just like how he utilizes his privilege and power in these positions to kind of continue to push our community forward. So thank you, DaShawn. We appreciate you, boo. Let's see here. Next, Dawon.
Yeah.
Who's your guest of the year?
I am so just honored and pleased to just call out Chino Ze. For those of you who don't know, these are OG Minority Report podcast listeners. Like, from the very, very early days, they've been rolling and rocking with us, and commenting and sharing and advocating for us. And these are people that have been not only advocates for us, but, you know, they have become our personal friends.
Yes.
You know, to have a full circle moment, you know, where we're able to invite them to this side of the podcast experience, above and beyond just the friendship piece of it, which is beautiful. It's wonderful to see them cross over in a way. And so they came on and they talked about a lot. They stayed on for the whole episode, which is great, and talked about a lot. But I found it really interesting, just them sharing their own personal stories around, how they took their, their kind of like personal passion for fitness and turned it into a profession. And, they're both, they both, are definitely into fitness and teaching and coaching and doing all those kinds of things. And to share their own personal stories around that. I know it's just a topic that, whether it's, personal health and well-being, whether it's, improving our personal aesthetics or recovering from some kind of a, some kind of physical injury or issue or whatever, fitness just has such a strong hold on a lot of our lives. And it's just great to hear the perspective of, some fellow listeners who are just like everyone else that's out there, but they're making a big difference, not only for other people, but also for themselves. And I just love the relationship that they have. And you could see and feel the love through the whole conversation with them. So let's go ahead and roll the clip and you guys can give your thoughts on what you think as well.
Absolutely.
Glad to be back and your
Chino got the shoulders all out too. Okay,
That's
now,
boo.
boo.
Summertime. We summer ready in the streets.
She said, I'm going to get this, wash your hands, legs, and ass, but I'm going to show this chest and these arms right quick.
This one be showing out in the gym.
You got
Hey, as you should.
That's why you work. Ain't that why we work?
That's a whole ass word. That's the one thing I've learned. I'm like, damn, I see why people want to show because this should be work. Be a whole ass job. I'm like, damn, this.
You're going to put in that word, you're going to have to show it off and show it out. Like, don't keep it off.
Whole ass word.
Yeah.
And it kind of keeps you accountable too. You're like, damn, okay, I don't put all this thirst shit out there. They're gonna call me out if I'm slacking a little bit.
Yeah. Especially when you gotta eat all those green vegetables all the time.
I'm tired. I honestly probably don't eat as many as I should. Like, I make sure I take like my multivitamin. I've always taken like a multivitamin because I used to work for Bayer. So like I just got in the habit from when I worked for Bayer and they had 1-a-day vitamins. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? Sometimes it just be taking too long. It's like, let me just cook up this like turkey meat right quick and be done, and maybe some rice or some potatoes or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be waiting for the asparagus to be done or the broccoli to be done. I'm like, it is what it is. Sorry.
Well, our trainer, I think he has me on like 2 to 3 cups of green vegetables.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it becomes a lot at times, but it works. So
what's your favorite vegetable? Do you have one that you're like, okay, I know that I'll at least tolerate this?
Sauteed kale, but he just hurt my feelings and said last week he was like, kale is best in a smoothie or what he said, a smoothie,
your protein shake
or protein shake.
But you can't saute it. Why?
He was like, because you don't get as many enriched nutrients out of it for what he's trying to have us do. So he wants us to stay more so like on the right now he has me on like cauliflower and green beans. Yeah. And then next week I can go back to like broccoli. It's usually broccoli, asparagus, but I'm a kale guy. I like some sauteed kale, if it's right, and mix it up with some eggs for my breakfast.
Right.
So
okay,
that's my go-to. Or some roasted broccoli.
See, I'm not the biggest broccoli person.
Me neither. And it gives you gas.
Ain't nobody got time for this gas.
Right. Well, that's a fetish for some people. We like that for you, but it gives you gas.
Not for me.
Not my fetish.
Boo boo. No, ma'am. Yeah, I like broccolini better, like the little baby broccoli.
Yeah,
that's how
I like those better than like the bullshit broccoli. That ain't my ministry. No.
Yeah, that's how.
I also do the greens with the water. It helps.
What's the greens?
In other words, powdered greens with my water. Shake it up.
Oh. I've never had. Is that good? I feel like I'll be drinking grass.
No, they put like some fruit flavor in it, right? Like pineapple or whatever.
Yeah, it's like lemon taste to it too. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to get you a sample so you can try it.
Please do.
Yes.
Please do. In community, for those that don't know, Zay and Chino, they be on this fitness grind. They are fitness instructors. That's that's their ministry.
Yeah.
So if you got questions, hit them up on the Instagram, because I'd be like, okay, like when I first moved here, I was like, okay, I need a personal trainer. And then it took years for me to finally do it.
Right.
I was like, okay, y'all in that world. I need someone. And so y'all gave me some recommendations. I don't think you actually gave me who I ended up going with, but I think I ended up finding him through the pages that y'all gave me.
Yeah.
So,
and then what's wild is that we actually know him from when we were at CrossFit. Yeah.
That part. And when I showed, like, at first when I said your names, he's like, I don't know. He's like, do you have a picture? And so, like, I usually don't have my phone, at least when I was training with him, don't have my phone on the floor. And so one day I was like, okay, remember to keep my phone in my pocket. And so I showed it. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, I remember them. That's great.
He's cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, no, he was great. But he was getting expensive. So I was like, you know what? I learned a lot in these like 6-7 months with you. I'm going to take a little break, get these coins stacked back up.
What I learned.
Yup.
I learned what I learned. Yeah, no, he's great. But honestly, I've been thinking to, whenever I just feel like I need that little extra push again, just to go back for another week or two, and then like, okay, get me squared away and things like that. But I've been better diligent than I thought I was going to be, quite frankly. Yeah. So that's a good thing. So I guess I did learn a thing or two from.
You be pushing yourself, because I see your stories where you're like, I don't want to go to this gym, but I make myself go. And then when you go, you be like, I feel better. I'm happy that I went.
Yeah. At least nine times out of 10.
And you go at night sometimes, right?
So I used to go more in the morning when I was with the trainer, just because like it was just easier to get in the city, train with him, and either go into the office or come back home to work. But now I'm just not a morning person at all. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me get this little extra hour of sleep. I'll go after work. But I've been debating, because it's just gotten, when I'm in like the area I'm at here in Philly, I go to Planet Fitness. And it just gets so packed after work that like I'm constantly like redoing what I was going to do for the day. Be like, okay, I went in with one plan. Like, well, shit, they taking fucking forever to be on the Smith machine. Okay, what alternative thing can I do instead of that? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I get tired of that, because like I'm tired of just kind of redesigning what the plan was for the day. Mm-hmm. So I'm debating if I'm just going to wake up early again, or maybe find another. I don't know what I'm going to do, but at least through the summer, I'm going to kind of keep it status quo and then kind of figure it out come fall. So yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel better, that's how it is at every gym.
Totally.
Is it? Yeah.
Even in the morning. Yeah. But what I will say, kudos to you, because I find it harder to, after working a day of work, to go and do my workout. So that means you're like,
really harder.
You're committed, because I could do the morning. After work, that's the last thing I want to do. I just want to go home and relax. Yeah.
It's 1000% true. Like, as much as I hate waking up in the morning to go, it's nice to get it out of the day, get it out of the way, and then come home and chill out. Because I like me and YouTube like this. I like my sitting on the couch watching my little YouTube, eat dinner with the hubby, call it good. And especially the nights where it's like so packed, it just makes everything longer. It's just crazy. Like today, like I had to cut the workout in half just because I knew like we had to get back and record and things like that. I was like, okay, I need to get back, eat, and record. So it's just nice like that, where I'm like, fuck, okay, I gotta get my ass back up in the morning, because this ain't it. This ain't it. How long have y'all been like fitness, like in the fitness world?
Oh, well, I probably would say I would be longer than Chino. We go all the way back to 20. I was probably like 25, 26 or so.
So just a year ago.
Oh, I was probably like 20, close to 30 when I moved to Philadelphia. And to give a backstory, that's when I got into looking for a group of people to motivate me and keep me going, because I wanted to keep my goal of losing weight and getting down and building muscle and whatnot. So I found a group of people. this guy by the name of Trey, and he was leading boot camps in Philadelphia. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to his boot camps. And then I just started doing his boot camps. And then from there, he ended up going on tour with one of these rappers way back in the day, Yo Gotti. And he was with Yo Gotti and doing me and his trainer on tour. And he's like, hey, I want you to take over my boot camps. You and 3 other people are going to lead them while I'm gone. And I was like, okay. Never taught any classes, no boot camps or anything. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I like this. So from there, I got into, outside of my full-time job, I got into doing his boot camps and then started running my own. Got into the world of Herbalife. Back then, I used to push Herbalife.
Herbalife, that's right.
And everything, yeah.
They even had it in Spanish.
And then from there, I was like, hey, you know what? This is something I really enjoy doing. I've always been someone that liked to inspire people and motivate people. And that's kind of my brand and who I am. And grew it into my own thing and started to do my own boot camps and created my own brand. And then from there, Chino started to stalk me on Facebook.
Okay, ow.
Let's say that.
Wait, hold on, Chino. How'd you find him? Like, did you go to the boot camp class, or you like?
Oh, tell me.
I'm gonna scroll on IG.
I stalked him on Facebook.
Oh, you're owning it now. Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie to the people. I'm not gonna lie to the community. And then from there, he was. I went to his workout, and then after that, you know, I didn't know what his deal was at first. To be honest, you really want to know.
I was on the DL.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. He was like, I don't know if he's straight, if he's gay, like what is he doing? Sucking dick in the sauna? What he doing?
Right. He was checking me out, though. I do recall. But then he asked me to be like an extra in one of his videos because he was doing like launching a program or something. Because I did act in college and high school, and so from there we became gym buddies, and then that's how.
And you know where that went, gym buddies.
So do. Clearly, because you got a ring on.
Yeah.
He actually, you remember when you wanted me to measure your muscles for your body fat? They used to make this like, oh, can you come back? I have a hard
He just wanted you to put his head. He just wanted your hands on his body.
Right. Did.
It's like, are we taking this upstairs?
And that's where it left. And then from there, he and I kept doing the fitness thing, and we got at 12th Street Gym in Philadelphia. Missed that place a lot, and I started teaching classes at 12th Street along with doing boot camps. And then he got me to come over to Jersey and see where I'm at now, and I ended up taking on a role at the place that I'm at now, and it's been ever since then. Fitness. Prior to that, you know, I was in the social field as he is. I specialized in the brain injury field and worked with people with traumatic brain injuries. So I did that for 13 years before I even got full time into fitness.
Yeah. Wow. What's the biggest thing you've learned out of all the years in fitness? Like both of you.
I think the biggest thing I've learned is, and I say learn and continue to learn, is to not be so hard on yourself. Like even in my years of like still dealing with body dysmorphia and learning to accept this is the body that I'm in, and he has to do this all the time. He just did it literally last week when I just had a meltdown because I'm like, why am I back up 3 pounds? I did everything I'm supposed to do. Yeah, I had a cheat meal, but it was prescribed by my trainer. I did it because he told me to do it. And he was like, it's going to happen. So like, I have to constantly remind myself, and I have to do the same thing. Like whatever I preach to other people about, like live in who you are now, and know that the progress that you're doing now, the small progress that you're doing now is going to lead to the big results. So I have to remind myself of that all the time, even when I have my meltdown moments. And I have to remind him the same when he has his meltdown moments, and be like, hey, I was just there a month ago. I know what you're going through. It's fine. You're going to bounce back. So what's yours?
For me, it was to never underestimate the impact that you can have by the words that you say. So like sometimes I think when I was first starting in the fitness industry, I used to like mimic like an instructor who I favored, who I liked, and try to like hold on to their terms, right? But I think there's something about just being your authentic self and really like those words matter, and like how you're feeling, the members or the people taking your class are probably feeling, and just to always like, that's the gift. So like I work 2 jobs. So I'm a social worker by day, and it's a very stressful job for government. And we leave it at that. These wonderful governmental times. So for me, fitness is also an outlet, but it's also a reminder that I have to leave that at the door. And that's easier said than done on some days.
Yeah.
And like be in that performer mode, but not also like instructor mode, but like trying to build that community and really like not say like, some people like to just talk in the fitness industry for some reason. Like, and I feel like really being your authentic self and choosing your words to go with what you're trying to work out. You know, maybe it's a lift that day, or maybe it's a climb and cycle, right? Life's going to give you heavy, like speak from where you're feeling. And I think that's where fitness becomes a lifestyle for the people that you're servicing.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm sorry, like I feel like now I'm just interviewing you, but like,
go ahead.
For the folks that like are listening, but like, damn, okay, I want to go to the gym, but hey, I don't even know where to start. Like, do I get a trainer? Do I go to a class? Do I just try to look up shit on the internet? Do I chat GPT? Like, what would you suggest be that first step?
You want to take this?
I would start by, and you could add to it.
Sure.
I would start by saying like, shop around and find, like, take drop-in classes and go to places that have a sense of community, and that's going to look different for different people. If your goals are to just lift and bulk, and and then you can create a plan and just go to a Platinum Fitness or go to like a LA Fitness, right, and just lift. But if you're trying to like build community and kind of get a lifestyle, then find the gym that kind of mirrors that. Like when I started in fitness, I loved CrossFit, right? Many people say it's a fad. I don't think it's a fad. I think it's a very impactful workout. I think it builds community. And from there, I never saw myself being at like a regular, what they used to call global gym, right? Yeah. Now, like I have different goals and I can't see myself doing those CrossFit workouts. I may be able to do some of them sometimes, but I don't want to like keep chasing that. But if that's something you want to do, then find a place that's going to kind of mirror your goals, but also going to teach you as well.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that 1000%. I think that in what I share with my journey is that I was, prior to living in Philadelphia, I moved from my hometown of Harrisburg. And when I lived there, it was me going to the gym late at night or early in the morning before work, getting in a workout, and it would be just me. Or it would be a friend that I could get to drag there with me. So I didn't have that community to motivate me and push me. So to what he said, like when I got here in Philadelphia, that was a key thing that took me to the next level in my fitness journey, is like finding a group of people that just brought me in and was like, we're going to push you. We're going to motivate you. And I'm not going to lie. Like Trey, if he ever hears this, he'll understand. Like that's my boy. Like he was tough. He was tough and he was hard on me. And he was tough and he was hard on me because he's the same type of person I am, where like if he sees the potential in you, he's gonna pull it out. And that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna be tough on you because he sees where you can go and what you can achieve. But he's trying to help you to see that for yourself. So I got around a whole bunch of other people that had similar goals or that would motivate me, and that helped me to just be like, all right, I'm showing up. Oh, we're meeting at Kelly Drive for a 2-mile run. I'm there, like coming right off of work, changing, going down to Kelly Drive to run. And then to your other question of that is like, Instagram, listen, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of content out there. And if I back in my
it's too much content
30s, which was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Don't hate. You're 1 year old. You're right.
Did you go Rican? That's all you be speaking.
Anyway, the famous line. So, like Instagram, there's so much stuff out there. However, what I would say is, don't just think like you following a bunch of accounts and just duplicating what they're doing in their videos is going to get you somewhere. Like it will, but you just set concrete goals and set a plan. And to back it up even more than that, your first thing to do is just walk. Just go outside, enjoy the weather, find a park, find a track, start off by walking, then turn that walking into jogging. Put on your favorite podcast like Minority Report and spend that hour walking the track, and that way, and your tank top, and that way you get your body moving. So if you start off by just getting your body moving, that's the first point. And then from there, you can grow from there. And you can find a community. You can make connections in your local area. You can find other people that are fitness enthusiasts on Instagram. I mean, they can inbox us and message us, and we will always motivate them and share things. And if they're in their area, we'll invite them over to come take a class.
Hey, I love that. That is true. That like, it's interesting. Like even at minimum, I find like the community part outside of just like cheering each other on, rooting each other on and things like that, there's an accountability that, at least for me, and even like I'm one that I don't necessarily need a bunch of folk because I want to kind of get in, get out. I got shit to do. But the reason why I went the trainer route is because I just needed that accountability piece, especially at first, to like, I'm paying money, so let me get my ass up and get out there and go, because that sucks to just waste money. But then B, to have someone be like, okay, like I'm getting weighed in every week. Hey, Kerel, did you do what you said you was gonna do? You're like, damn, no, nah, not this week. I got busy. Okay, but you said you was gonna do it, and that alone, you're like, damn, I did say that though, and I said I was gonna do this, and damn, I gotta show up and show my face to Alex again, and like, there's something about that. They be like, damn, I don't want to let that human being down because he's also investing in me. And so at least that was something I needed at the beginning. Then also I just needed to learn. Like I think all day, every day for my job. And then I think all day, every day for the podcast and things like that. So it's just like at the beginning, I was like, I don't want to think. I don't want to plan shit. Tell me what to do and my ass will be there and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. But I also learned along the way, it's just like there gets to a point where it's like, Kerel, you have to learn this. Like you have to like figure this shit out because again, it gets expensive. That's not, it is what it is. It's nature of the beast. Yeah. And either you're going to have to just continue to carve out that part of your budget, or you get to a point and be like, okay, I have to learn and I got to hold myself accountable. Mm-hmm. So that community piece, but even at minimum too, is just like showing up and seeing some of the same faces at the gym has been kind of cool. Like, hey, you still out here. Okay. You looking good, man. You looking good, girl. Hey, whatever it may be. So there is even that minimally, that sense of community of seeing some of the same folks every day, day in, day out. And then there's always the cute boy. At least in my case, I'm like, there's the cute boy, so that's motivation too. But then they be having their shoulders out and everything, like Chino over there. I'm like, woo, like how I said on last week's episode, that man with the back at the gym every day. I'm like, damn, this boy is fine as shit.
Then you catch him checking you out,
baby. Yeah. And that's another thing. It's like the straight men's is at the gym just as gay as the gay men's. Don't let them front. Okay. They be looking at everybody. Everybody be scoping everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at minimum, go look at the men's or the girls or the them days, whatever, the non-binary, whomever they are in the spectrum. Yes. Go look, because it's kind of nice.
You can look at them all. Everybody's welcome.
Absolutely. I know that's right.
All right.
Hey.
Yeah, so
that's the episode that y'all left me in this country. That's what that episode. That's what I remember that episode.
I mean, we weren't gonna make it about us, but
that's what I remember. It was like, but it was. If I had to be left, I was glad it was with them too.
And low key, like it was cool for. I can't speak for Jerrell, but I imagine he probably thinks the same. It was cool for us to listen in as listeners because, it's usually just one of us that may be gone. Just scheduling, we try to keep, that continuity for everybody. But for us both to be gone and, for, you to hold down the fort, first of all, thank you for, just continue being a rock for the podcast and everything. But then secondly, like the podcast did not miss a beat, and it was great to be a listener for a change. I listen to the podcast, but it's you hear your own voice, so what's about to come up. So it was cool to really be a listener of the podcast. And it was like, yeah, I get why people listen to us.
And shout out to Zay, because Zay be keeping me honest. It's always Zay that'll be amongst the first people if shit is fucked up on that Monday morning. I know I will get a text.
That's right. Yeah.
Like I'll wake up and the text will already be there. It'll be like 4 a.m. Something fucked up with the episode, or you didn't cut the ending off, or it ain't it ain't on Spotify. I'm like, thank you.
If it ain't him, if it's between him and Johnny, them two be on
yes,
Johnny,
those are the two. 1000%. So I appreciate you, because I don't know, sometimes I just be fucking up. Oh, and sometimes Spotify be fucking up. That's what it really be too. So
that part.
Let's be all the way honest. I'm trying not to burn no bridges, but Spotify, get your act together.
They know what it is.
Oh God. But yes, thank you, Zay and Chino. We really do appreciate you, love. Yeah. Jerrell, what's your choice, boo?
Last but not least, for me, it was the guest of Natives, the series. Having Ronald and Darnell on was so great. And then also like just getting to be introduced to their show, Natives, the series, was just really great to see queer POC, story and just be drawn in. I hadn't felt something like that since, honestly, like Noah's Ark, if I'm being honest. But got to also meet them as well, like a month later at the Queerties as well too, like in person, and kicked it with them, went out with them and stuff like that too. So just two other people who I've just really come to just like social media, just interact with and talk with and stuff like that. So here's a clip of them, Darnell and Ronald from Natives the series.
So what are they voting for? Tell us about the series. Like, what is this series even about? If they're like, okay, hold on, who am I voting for?
Yeah, so Natives is a series that follows a group of unapologetic queer Native New Yorkers navigating adulting in the projects of New York City. It's inspired by my upbringing as a queer Afro-Puerto Rican in the projects, and also it kind of expanded and is now a reflection of a lot of the cast and crew's experience, many of who are queer Native New Yorkers. So it's a love letter, our love letter to New York, and the New York we rarely see in media.
That part of it. And I'll say, even just from jump, we see a lot of just stuff on YouTube and just different series and things like that. And some of it's good, some of it's From jump, this was good, because even just aesthetically. I ain't gonna call no names, but just even just aesthetically.
The elevation of it all.
Right, that.
And that was
okay, this already got me.
And that was something that was in our production meeting since day one. Like, I remember in the production meetings, they said, we do not want this to look like a web series. Like, we want this to be shipped and ready for HBO. And I feel like that's kind of been our mantra. Filming, post-production, securing a post house, a post producer, an editor, a colorist, all that. I feel like Ronald and the whole entire team, we just always thought of. We always wanted to give quality. That was always in our minds.
Yeah. And it definitely shows. Let me tell y'all.
Thank you.
I watched the pilot at least like 3 times. And
oh my God.
Honestly, I really did. I watched it at least 3 times.
I love that.
I started to pick up like little things that I felt like I was missing from shows. And I was just like, wow, this is checking so many boxes for me. Even just from the representation part, growing up in the projects as well too. Like from jump, seeing the Black lesbian cousin, I was like, got a couple of those too. Like I was like, damn, like I'm not a native of New York, but like as a queer Black man, I was like, damn, I still felt it. And then it was the music. Yeah. Let me tell you, the way I was like, this needs to be a playlist. Where's the playlist?
We have playlists.
Y'all do? Okay, well, I'm gonna find it because
we have like an unofficial playlist.
Music
because
was good.
Some of the music is actually unreleased. Shout out to the artists. Shout out to Prince of the Bronx. Shout out to Omar, who actually plays Chris. That's actually his song in one of the scenes where Izzy is like laying down. Most of the music we got was like unreleased. we really just wanted that core New York feel, and we were scouting from anywhere. Like, you don't have to be signed to a record label for us to look at you. So most of the music was actually is now on Apple Music. So we have an unofficial playlist.
Okay, let me tell y'all. In the pilot, when y'all was sitting on that bed, I'm not gonna give it away. But there was a
give it away. Like y'all say, they late.
Let me tell you, this man. I forget he was talking. I think he was talking about eating ass or something like that. And I was like, "This is a gay ass song. Who is this? Is it lyricist? Yeah, lyricist. You should know that. That was a song. Like, at least that's what it picked up on here.
Maybe on YouTube. I think that might have been it. So YouTube sometimes shows some other songs if it's like the is it the song in the deli or this when they're sitting on the bed?
When you're sitting on the bed.
It's sitting on the bed.
Yeah.
Chris. Oh, who played Omar?
Yes. That's Omar who plays Chris in the series. So that's the beat. But then the actual song is unreleased.
Okay, because I need that.
Yes.
You're looking for some background music.
We'll let him know that it's time to release it because people are asking.
Yes.
But I love that you really enjoyed the music. I think again, we're trying to be really intentional about everything, and for me personally, finding music was the hardest part of producing. And shout out to Darnell because Darnell found a lot of the music as well in episode 1. But a lot of it was indie artists. A lot of them are queer as well, and Black and brown. And that was something that was really important for us to do because we want to showcase our community all around, both visually, sonically, behind the camera. All of that was extremely important to us.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead. Oh no! What was like the seed of an idea to even begin writing this? Because a lot of times folks have ideas, but like, I wish this was on TV, or I wish I saw this. But what made you say, "Oh, I have an idea," and then, "Oh, I have the skill set to write this egg," and then gather the group of folks that you've gathered around you to execute it?
Yeah. So this. Actually, the inception of it was in 2018. I was on the train, and an idea came to me of just 2 queer people in the projects. And I don't know if I should stop because this siren.
That's part of the show.
They have Dawon all the time.
Right. Dawon's up in Harlem. We be here at the Dominicans every episode.
I'm such an actor, so it's like the sound, they would just cut me already. And so I'm like, okay.
That's just become part of the show at this point.
But yeah, we'll move
serendipitous that you have the sirens going on. We're talking about, life in New York. So.
So in 2018, I was on the train, and this idea just came to me about 2 queer people in the projects. And one of them is this out kid who I play, and the other, I wrote it from an acting perspective. I was acting at that time. I wasn't that excited about the roles that I was getting, and I felt like there wasn't really roles that truly represented all of me in my intersectionalities. Like physically, I saw myself reflected in media. But being a queer person, being an Afro-Latino person, I didn't really see those intersectionalities represented. And then also coming from public housing, I feel like every time I saw public housing, it was represented in a very stereotypical and negative way. And I am a product of that. And I know so many people who are successful, who are hard workers, who are ambitious. And I felt like it was my duty as a storyteller to really convey that. But this really started with a scene where the character of Izzy walks into the building after a night out, and he sees the character who is Ricky. And Izzy has always been attracted to Ricky for as long as he can remember, but that's his cousin's best friend. He doesn't think he's queer. And so they get into the elevator, and it's just like this awkward kind of moment, but there's some tension there. And then when Izzy is leaving, Ricky says something, and it just kind of piques like a little bit of interest in Izzy. Like, wait, what is going on? That was not
like you kind of want these cookies,
right? And so I just had that scene, and I didn't know what to do with it, but I was like, I really love this because it is 2 queer people in the projects, 2 Black and brown people in the projects, and I hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen queerness really represented in public housing. I hadn't seen a positive representation of public housing. And so it kind of just fell by the wayside because I wasn't sure what to do with it. But in 2020, during the pandemic, I found this pilot competition and I said, well, I have this scene that I remember writing. Why don't I expand on it? I wasn't doing much, and my coping mechanism is being productive. And so I'm like, I need to do something. And so I decided to write a pilot. And I didn't get into the pilot competition, but I got feedback, and the feedback was really positive. I remember the comment being like, this world is so colorful, keep expanding upon it. And I was like, oh, I love this so much. And that lit a fire in me to actually continue to build on this. And it went through multiple iterations to end up what it is now, a web series. It was a pilot, a 45-minute pilot, then it was a 28-minute pilot, then it was something else. And we landed on a web series because it was short form content. We'd be able to tell kind of a whole first season, ideally, on our own, and be able to represent ourselves as writers a bit more versus just one pilot. And yeah, that's kind of how it's turned into what it is now. We released the first 2 episodes, but we're currently, fundraising to produce the remaining 5 episodes.
Ooh, let me tell you,
put that information out
there. We need to get y'all that coin because the way I have been looking all over the internet, okay, because the way Izzy had been irking my nerves, I was like, I need to know if this man becomes likable because, baby, yeah, Ronald, you fine, but your character, let me tell you, I was like, Lord Jesus.
Yeah, Izzy's alive.
I love that though. I did it like he's not supposed to be likable, and that's the best thing. So I'm glad that you dislike him, but hopefully you're rooting for him.
I am rooting for him, but I'm like, damn,
do better.
Let me stop because the second episode, I was like, you did Kai so bogus. Like you just met this man. Oh no. Let me tell you. So I'm sorry, but
things
yeah,
happen.
I loved it.
We've all been in them situations where you might be with your friends and then you find someone you might be a little interested with and you kind of ditch your friends, but like, damn, I done ditched my friends. Well, hold
but not
on,
on your best friend dead mama birthday.
Oh, it's horrible.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's a lie. That ain't never did that.
I'm actually fighting my friend on my dead mama's birthday on that point.
Listen, he was intending to, but then this guy got drunk, Are you going to leave a drunk person? Like, what would you be doing?
And would.
There's a reason why she's called Auntie Hennessy.
That part.
Yeah. So let me tell you, if y'all have not watched that series, go on YouTube. Please go follow them on Instagram. That's Natives, the series. They are doing all this themselves. So they're funding their own project. It is a fantastic project. If you got something to donate, if you know somebody who got, funds in this economy and sitting around to donate, like I know a good couple of people who would really enjoy that, myself included, but them as well, that would really enjoy
like my
that.
Cash App, my Venmo is.
But yeah,
no. And then DaShawn Usher also, he's drawing Natives as an executive producer as
that's
well.
right.
So I just love
that. Yeah, that full circle. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
See, look, we out here. Look, they out here. We out here. It's just
period.
You just pointed it out right now. I'm just like, man, we really just recircling. We know people.
The family tree.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. Honestly, like there's no competition. Like all boats rise if you just support one another. Like the fuck, So I love seeing everybody like thrive and grow and just be the best at what they do. It's refreshing and dope to me. I love it. So but yeah, another year of guests, y'all.
Yeah.
Like it's wild to think of just like the people we've had over the years that people continue to want to like talk to us. It's like us. Oh, okay.
Low key, I'm not gonna lie. It is a beautiful feeling when we interact with a guest that we haven't met before. Because a lot of our guests, like either they're repeats from, either previous episode or, like in our lives or our circle or whatever. But there are quite a few of the guests that we don't know until they show up.
Yeah.
And you can always tell, I know as co-hosts, we can very easily tell that the guards are up at the very beginning of the episode, but usually by about minute 10 to 15, they see exactly what y'all see, when you're listening. It's like, this is a place where I can be myself.
Because we already cracking jokes at the beginning when they're up on. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
The walls can come down.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is a beautiful feeling, because that's, again, I mean, we're going on 7 years in a few months. And again, it was all about just that kitchen table talk, making sure that everyone felt part of the conversation and wanted to be a part of the conversation. So the fact being that a guest comes on and then the walls start to come down, or they're like, dang, I want to say some things, but I can't say this just yet, so let me, I'm gonna say some things off camera. Y'all might be able to post that later, like what we had with Caitlin last year, just like stuff like that is just really cool, because it just means, again, like, we too are, walking in our purpose and doing what is meant for us,
Exactly.
So
yeah, I love it.
What a good year.
Well, another best of episode down, community. We still taking our little break here, but we have at least one more week next week of some best of, and I'm excited for y'all to hear next week's. But anything else on your hearts and minds for this week?
No. Happy New Year's, y'all. Be safe.
That's right. It's the new year. Damn.
And let us know.
It's the new year. Happy New Year, y'all.
I guess I'll say happy birthday to myself.
Right?
Hey, self, happy
I guess
birthday.
Next week is technically we're in the new year. But feed yourself, hey. Pass yourself, hey, boo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Getting into the new year. So, yeah, we'll talk about that next week. Maybe if there's... I know we normally don't do resolutions, but maybe by this time we have some. So we'll see. Wash your hands, your legs, and your ass, and check out next week's episode to see if we do or not. Bye.
See ya.